Hey guys, it's Michelle Pippin, and I'm here to talk with you guys about something I never ever imagined myself talking about, which is manifesting success. Now, this is something I talk with my clients about, not exactly even in those terms. I've certainly never put myself out there publicly discussing this, and there's some good reasons for that. But I am excited to talk with you guys, my members, about that. It's really been something that is coming up for me a lot more and more. And I just wanted to make sure that I shared something that is happening for me, that's happened for me a few different times, and there's some commonalities in it. And so I wanted to just kind of share that with our members. If you are not a Women Who Wow member, come and hang out with us in PlanetWOW.club, and also go ahead and join us at WomenWhoWow.com. So I have some notes over here. So, when The Secret came out, right? When the movie The Secret came out, I was really interested. It was all the rage, and I wasn't really sure what it was about. I wasn't sure how it would fit within my Christian worldview, frankly. And so I was really hesitant and curious about watching it. And I knew that it was all about manifesting. I knew it was all about, going to what they refer to as the universe, and and getting great gifts, and I knew that all great gifts came from the Lord. That's my worldview. And so I with that kind of knowledge, I went and I watched it, and I was really struck by the lack of attention that movie The Secret put on our personal responsibility to take action for what we want. And so that was really my first kind of experience with it. And I would often say, whenever the law of attraction was brought up, I would often say, like, oh, I'm more about the law of creation, and I really honestly felt like I could only expect what I was willing to create myself, like with my own hands. And I think that served me well for a little while. And then I realized that it didn't anymore. And we've all seen people who have really sort of manifested or attracted like some crazy favor in their life or their business, and we're kind of left like scratching our heads. And in some cases, that person is us. And so I want to go back to my notes. Hey, Holly. Yeah, so it's like the law of attraction and the law of creation. And so that's really where I've kind of lived. And so one of the things that I started recognizing was that when I look back in my periods of my business where I've seen like what I would call unmerited favor, right? Like it was me manifesting something very specific. And in each different case, I realized there were 4 different components, 4 different kind of cornerstones of what I was doing just up here, right? Had nothing to do with my action taking, had nothing to do with me hustling, had nothing to do with anything. The only thing differently I was doing was between my ears. And that was a really big eye-opening for me. And so I really started, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like what I hear people talking about with their vision boards, that something just kind of appears, or this is sort of what they were talking about in The Secret. And so the first thing I did, and if you guys know me, you'll appreciate this, but I started like Googling stuff like manifesting for Christians or something like that. I really had to see where this intersected with my worldview. And I didn't find anything. And then I realized like manifesting is not proper Christianese, right? Like that's why there wasn't a lot out there, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't apply. And so I want to talk about manifesting, especially manifesting huge stuff, specifically in your business, because that's what we're here for. And so I've tried this many times, right? Kind of the vision board, which I'm looking at right here. I've tried it many times, when I felt like I wanted something or needed something. And there were times when it worked so undeniably perfect that it was just, sometimes I'd sit there and think, oh my Lord, like this is just crazy, sick, not happening. And And so in those times, I realized there were those 4 cornerstones. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because a lot of people will say that they're manifesting or they're doing the law of attraction stuff and it's not working for them. And so I'm certainly not the expert here. I just kind of want to share with you guys, especially people who share my same worldview, what I was doing that led to these sort of huge, just completely unprecedented periods of growth or favor, whatever you call it. So the 4 cornerstones, the first one is not unusual, but it's a definite purpose or goal, something measurable. It wasn't like I really want a great month or I want to, whatever. I want to make a bunch of money. It was like very definite and very specific. And that's something you hear about everywhere. But the second cornerstone is something no one had ever told me, right? And it was absolutely present in every sort of period of huge growth that I've ever had. So not only was there a definite purpose or goal, that's the first thing, but the second thing is that I had a place for the money to go, right? Like, it wasn't just that I wanted to have, let's say, and this is one, like I said a couple years ago, I wanted to have my first 6-figure month, right? And I set this goal and I didn't reach it. And anytime, though, that I have set some huge audacious goal and I've reached it, I've realized that I've had a place for the money to go. The first time I tried to reach a 6-figure month, it was just like something cool to do, right? It was like, oh, I want to have a 6-figure month. And it was not at all, I had no place for the money to go. I didn't brainstorm like, okay, I'll put this amount of money in savings and this amount of money towards college fund and this amount of money towards car. I never thought about that. And in every single instance, when I have manifested huge things in my business or my life, I have had a place for that money to go. I've known exactly where it's going to go. So that's something that's really exciting. I want to welcome people who are on the call. So Tamora, love talking with you today. Holly, miss you so much. Tajana, I miss you and I'm coming your way. So I'm coming to Dallas. I want you to meet me there. Hey, Liz, I'm excited to have you. And I'm taking Parker home today after practice. So, anyway, so the first thing for the manifesting is having a definite purpose or goal. The second part is so critical. It is have a place for that money or those numbers, whatever you're trying to manifest, have a place for it to go. Give it a home somewhere before it actually arrives. That is so important. If you have a question about that, ask me. I'm not sure if I'm stating it really correctly, but it was a huge aha for me. And when I look back at periods of just like amazing things in my business, I've known ahead of time where that thing was going to go, right? And so it's super important to have. The third thing is a deadline, right? Always, and this is something you hear about also. So the first part, definite purpose or goal, we hear about a lot. Second part, we don't hear as much about, making sure you have a place for that money to go. You've planned for it ahead of time. The third part is a deadline. We hear this all the time. Make sure we have a date by which we want to accomplish whatever goal. And the fourth one is something that I have never really heard it talked about. And I think, again, because manifesting is not proper Christianese talk, right? So, but for me, every time that I feel like God's favor has been just like pushed on my business in ways that I felt just blown away by. I have been, I've had sort of a Bible reference, right? I've had something that I am focusing on every day. And one of my favorite things, I'm getting ready to do a video that I've been asked to do for encouragement for Christian business owners. And one of the things that anytime that I've had these massive kind of manifesting sort of experiences, I've been focusing on Luke 5. And Luke 5, and I'm not trying to preach to you, but Luke 5 is where the disciples were out there and they were fishing, and Jesus comes up and he's like, hey, put your nets out into the deep water. And so, one of the disciples is like, hey, man, we've been working hard all night. We haven't gotten anything. But you told us to do it, so we'll do it, right? And you can see us in that, right? There's been times in our business where it's like, I've been like doing everything I know to do, and just seems to be no churn. Nothing's happening, right? And so you can see if somebody's like, well, hey, get out in there and do another blog post. And I hear this all the time. You're like, well, I've already tried that. It didn't work. So that's what the disciples are doing in Luke 5. And then they go out there and they drop their nets. And when they do, it says that they pull up so many fish, their nets begin to break. They have to get their friends in another boat to take in all the fish. And both the boats start to sink because there's so many fish, right? And that is sort of a manifesting moment. And so for me, that's been critical. If this is not your worldview, I think that it will still work to focus on something that is meaningful to you, that is encouraging to you. For me, focusing on that fourth component is really a reference, something that you can, for lack of a better word, meditate on and look at. And for me, that Luke 5 is like, oh, you know, that's important because I can see it and I can believe it to be possible. And in those moments when I've needed that Luke 5 experience, you know, I can look at it and I can say, this is what's possible. This is exactly what I'm expecting. So those are the 4 things for manifesting success, according to my experience. And so, you know, I'm not the expert here, but it's really helped me a lot. So it is a definite purpose of goal. The second thing, so important, if you have a monetary goal specifically, just write down where you want that money to go. I had a specific monetary goal for February, and I knew that I didn't just want to put that number out there. I needed to know, okay, this amount will go here, this amount will go here, this amount will go here. Money is just energy. It's currency. It will go where it's welcomed, and it will go where it has a home. So you want to give it a home. The third thing is have a deadline. And the fourth is have something that you are, that's encouraging you, that you're focusing on every single day. For me, in my Luke 5 moments, I've literally written that a few of the verses in Luke 5 out daily during that season as I was manifesting exactly what I wanted to create. So I hope this really helps you guys. And if you have any questions for me, you can post them in the comments below, or you can PM me on Facebook, and that's fine too. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. If you're not registered for Dallas, you need to be. womenwhowow.com/Dallas2017. It is going to be off the hook. I'm super excited about it. I will talk with you guys soon, and look forward to hearing back from you. Bye.